Listeners, my name is Shannon Cooney from Merrick Property Group Real Estate Agency and a very proud sponsor of the Paracave podcast. If you own a property in the Penrith LGA or Lower Blue Mountains and would like to know what it's worth in today's market, give me a call on 0421 588 445.
Broadcasting live from the Paracave. Hello and welcome to another bumper episode of the Paracave podcast. My name is Troy Warner and I'll be your host this week and every week. And today it is episode 111. And today, I'm going back to the fan and members series of the Parramatta Eels and celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Eels in the competition. And my guest today is a massive Parramatta Eels fan, and you will also recognise him on the Today Show, Monday to Friday on Channel 9, as the sports and news guy, and that is Mr. Alex Cullen. Now, during the chat with Alex, we chat about how he became a Eels fan, how he became to follow the Eels, favourite past and present players, favourite Eels moments, alongside some working in the media chat and working alongside Karl Stefanovic, and also a nice tribute to the late Olivia Newton-John, who Alex had the pleasure of interviewing a few years ago, along with some personality set of 6 questions and much, much more. So much to get through and to listen to. All brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Perfect for those footy finals which are going on right now. Also, a shout out to co-sponsors Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, the Stubby Club. And with the Stubby Club, don't forget to use your 10% discount code PARACAVE at checkout. Just head to thestubbyclub.com.au and you can get that best present for that sports fanatic in your life. They've got a huge range of sports merchandise at the Stubby Club, so head to that website, check it out. Don't forget to use the 10% discount code. And also, Bo Cook from Loan Market, your local Penrith mortgage expert. From everything from first home loans, refinancing, and home loans as well, and more, Bo Cook and his team is the man with the help and the answers. How do I know? Well, Bo has helped myself and my wife Amanda with a home loan, so we have that personal experience of what Bo and his team can do for you during these difficult financial times and get the best deal for you. You can contact Bo today on 0401 213 236 and get in contact today for a free chat and see what Bo can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Paracave podcast. Thank you to all the sponsors. With your support, it helps the podcast grow and reach more people, which is much appreciated. But enough of me talking. Let's get into the chat with Mr. Alex Cullen and have a listen to his rugby league supporting of the Eels story and life story. So as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax and enjoy, and let's get straight into it.
My name's Alex Cullen from the Today Show, mad Parramatta Eels fan, talking to Troy from the Paracave podcast.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Paracave podcast is a journalist who has worked in radio and TV, and currently you will see him on the Today Show on Channel 9 as a sports and news presenter. But most importantly, he's a massive Parramatta Eels fan, and with it being the 75th anniversary of the Eels in the competition, why not talk to a fellow Eels supporter and get to know his love for the Eels as well. So welcome to the Paracave podcast, Mr. Alex Cullen.
G'day, Troy. Great to be with you, mate. And look, any excuse to talk about the mighty Parramatta Eels, my friend. Wow. Just been going through some of the old memories and, jogging the memory about past players and just my love of Parramatta. So great to be here. Great to join you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. Now, born in Canamble, I think, in the central west of New South Wales. What was it like growing up? I'm assuming on a farm out that way?
Yeah, farm out that way, yeah. So I'm the eldest of 4 kids, sister and 2 brothers, and growing up on a farm out there. My dad was running sort of cattle and sheep and wheat as well. So it was a wonderful upbringing. Lots of wide open spaces and lots of sport and hard work. I played rugby league in town for the mighty Canamble Bears. For about three or 4 years, I suppose. Yeah, so really learnt the game and learnt to love the game, and also learnt to love Parramatta because Dad was a huge fan. I'm not sure his connection. He just loved Parramatta from especially the late 70s with those sort of back-to-back grand final losses, and I came along in 80. And I guess 81, 82, 83, I don't really remember those, obviously.
Yep.
A little bit too young, but just through Dad's love of them, I kind of grew to love them as well. And then, of course, 86 I was just nearly 6 years old, and it's one of my most wonderful memories, just sitting there at home on the old brown couch, jumping up and down, celebrating the Crow and Ray Price, walking around with the Winfield Cup, just beautiful and incredible moments, and it's like it was yesterday. Unfortunately, Troy, we haven't had the success since, but it was a great upbringing, my friend. It was lovely, and it's funny, we had this nurse come and stay with us. I remember when I was a kid, he was a friend of Mum's or someone, and she was going out with a player from reserve grade, and this would have been probably 87, 88. And she brought all the posters, brought us T-shirts, hats, and from then, and then, so that was just amazing for us kids. Way out, in the bush, 7 hours from Sydney. And yeah, from that moment on, we were just always huge fans. The whole family are Parramatta fans. Even my sister, so
yeah, we
love them.
Well, probably like me, that's my first vivid memory of watching Parramatta is the 86 grand final. So, from that day on, pick and stick,
always. And I've got a photo. There's an amazing photo. It's a black and white photo that I've got, and I got it framed of the Crow and Ray Price. Ray Price being my favourite player of all time.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Perpetual Motion. I've read his book probably 3 or 4 times now. And it's just this beautiful shot of them standing on the SCG. It's black and white, and it's just them kind of just taking it all in. It's just, I get shivers up my spine just talking about it. Just one of those great moments in time.
Now, just before we get into other favourite players, there's always that great immortal debate about players who should become immortals of the game. You mentioned Ray Price there. What's your opinion on Ray Price becoming an immortal of rugby league? Because in my opinion, I think there should be at least one Parramatta player, especially from that 80s dynasty, that should be an immortal.
Yeah, I agree. And just even being at the game yesterday, walking past his statue, holding up the trophy, that. Do I think he should be an immortal? That's a good question. For mine, it's a toss-up between him and Peter Sterling, I think. Yeah, but, Sterlo revolutionised the game, really. He revolutionised that position, I think, and just brought so much to that position. And what a player. I mean, my God. But then again, Ray Price did too. Like, for a guy, he wasn't that big. He was... Especially when he played for the Wallabies, he was sort of 87, 88 kilos, I think.
Yeah.
Which is not big at all, but he had a heart the size of a lion, and he he just kept going and going, and I've also got this. I've got Rugby League Week, a Rugby League Week book over here. It's celebrating 25 years, and there's a photo in that. I put it up on Instagram during the State of Origin. There's a photo of that, him lying on his back during the 83, I think it was, State of Origin series, and he's absolutely gassed. He's lying on his back. He can hardly move because he just gave so much to his team and his teammates. Look, I think he is knocking on the door of an immortal, absolutely. Just for the success he had, you know, those 4 premierships, could have been 5. The 84 grand final, I mean, God, what a team. You just forget how special they were, like 81, 82, 83, potentially 84. If Mick Cronin hit that penalty goal, it would have been, hit that goal, it would have been 6-all, who knows what would have happened. That could have been 4 years in a row. So I think we sometimes forget the success of that team, like compared to others. Like I don't think any other club's done 3, well, apart from St George over those many years, but those 3 years in a row, and then 86 as well, and to win in his last game as well. So I think, he's definitely knocking on the door of an immortal. Troy, yes.
Yeah, one of the other contenders I think is Brett Kenny.
Definitely.
To beat an immortal, but other than those 80s legends, what about some of the other recent and even current day players? Who have been some of your favourites?
I loved Michael Buettner. I was a big fan of his. Yeah. I really liked his style. He was a good player, and I liked him from even when he was playing with North Sydney. But Michael Buettner I was a big fan of. I liked Kalis, Big Nathan Kalis. He was a good player. Even Luke Burt and those sorts of guys. I was sort of looking back. Timon Atahu, I was a huge fan of his. He was just a wonderful player. And going right back, like, because you got to remember, after that 86 grand final, there were some lean years, and you sort of had to look for the silver lining. And I tell you, I really liked Scott Mahon.
Oh yeah,
remember him?
Yeah,
I was
definitely.
a big fan of Scott Mahon. Yeah, he was a fullback.
Long blonde hair.
That's it, the fullback. I was a huge fan of his. I thought he was a great player. Who else? Nathan Hindmarsh, obviously. He's just was one of the true greats. I think he was just an amazing footballer. Just so tenacious, so gifted, so gritty. A lot like Ray Price, really.
Yeah.
And I think he was really good. So who else? I was going back through some of the old names, like Danny Krankovic.
I've had him on the podcast. Great bloke.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Great bloke. Yeah.
Wow. Like
Stu. Yeah. Dart around the field and.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
Stu Galbraith. Those sorts of guys.
I spoke to him as well.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah,
they weren't sort of flashy, but they were. They just gave their all. I was a bit, and even Jamie Lyon. I know, I played a lot of his games with Manly, but when he was with Parramatta, he was fantastic. I was a huge fan of his.
What about more today's team? Who are some of your favourites in the current day side?
Oh, for sure. And I just remembered Fui for you.
Yes.
Hey.
Still playing.
I loved him.
Still playing over in England.
Is he?
Yeah, Division 3, I think.
Wow, there you go.
Still playing.
No, I loved Fui. Yeah, no, I followed that 2009 team all the way. It was amazing. We'll probably talk about that later. But today's team, I love Nia Corey. I just love him. I think he's a Marata Nia Corey. He's just a wonderful player. Like he just goes hard. And like even yesterday, we're recording this the day after the Bulldogs game. I've always been a big fan of his. Yep. I really like. I love Nathan Brown. He's just hard, I just love how he goes about his business. He just goes hard. And he plays. I reckon he must play with that many injuries. Like you can just tell he's hurting a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, he's injured at the moment.
He's injured at the moment. I saw him in the Directors Club during the Dogs game, and big fan of his. Dylan Brown. I love watching him play. Yeah. He's a wonderful young player, and I'm loving seeing what he can do now. Like I think he's really hitting his straps now, and he's just gaining that confidence. And just seeing him play and sing. Like he just those 2 tries he scored yesterday. He set up a few others.
Yep.
So huge fan of his. So and I love the big Fijian. I love the big and Micah Sivo. Yeah, he's going really well too. He's coming off that knee injury and he's back in business, baby, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and there's nothing better than that Sivo chant going around the ground at Combank Stadium.
Sivo.
Yeah.
Sivo.
Definitely. Is there a favourite? What have been some of your favourite Eels memories from over the years? Is there games that stand out or moments that stand out?
Well, yeah, definitely. So I guess the biggest one for me, and that since '86 obviously, was the '09 prelim final against the Bulldogs.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, mate, that is my favourite memory from the last, 30 years. I think I was at that game.
Okay.
Nearly 75,000 people. Parramatta were down. I think they were down at half time, and they were up against a red hot dog side. 75,000 screaming fans. I reckon half the ground was Dogs, half the ground was Eels, and the noise it lifted the roof off. And you had Robson, you had Mortimer, you had Fui, Hindmarsh, I think Todd Lowry. Was it Lowry in 13? He was there, and just they came back and they won it 22-12, and that it was just that is my favourite moment by a long shot. I think in the last 30 years, just and it was the Bulldogs too, just beating the Canterbury Bulldogs, because my hatred for the Bulldogs runs deep, Troy.
Okay.
And only because my cousin was a mad Dogs fan, and we would literally come to blows, during our childhood over games.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, rivals, you mentioned the Bulldogs there. Is there any other teams that you don't like losing to?
Roosters. I'm not a fan of the Roosters at all. And Manly, and I think a lot of that is a bit of jealousy. Like I'm just like, why can't Parramatta? Like, why can't we play consistently as those two clubs have done over the last 20, 30 years? There's premierships and there's what have you. And it's funny, like being a Para fan it's just an emotional bloody roller coaster, as you well know.
Yeah.
But like with those clubs, they've just managed to, I don't know, somehow sustain that success. And I look at some of my mates who are Manly fans and Roosters fans and go, God, you buggers, like you're so lucky to have this team that wins premierships and always, well, it's basically quite what's the word? They just always turn up. I mean, I'm not saying Parramatta doesn't always turn up, but those two clubs have had such great success. So yeah, they're the
those
other two.
Yeah, I think just quietly we don't have a sombrero big enough, to be honest, but we won't get into that too much.
No, the Roosters too, paying players and all that sort of stuff. I was like, fair dinkum, guys. Like, anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, consistent is the word I was looking for. Yeah. Consistent.
No worries. Did you make it to the 2009 grand final?
No, I didn't. I didn't get there. No, I was at the prelim final for work.
Okay.
I was there as a Channel 7 reporter, just there in the media box. But no, I didn't make it to the 09 grand final, which was a shame.
Did you make it to the 01 grand final at all?
No, I was at university in Bathurst, New South Wales, and I'm sitting up there watching that, and I was at a mate's house who's a mad West Tigers fan. And, I thought, heck, it's this. We're going to win this. We'll win this in a canter. Well, we're minor premiers. We've run all these games in a row.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's 24-0 at half-time.
Yeah.
And they're just laughing at me going, and I was just sitting there just basically crying into my beer. But I thought, no, there's another half of footy to go yet. We came back, but it just wasn't enough, was it? So, I was sitting there at a house in Bathurst for the 01 one.
I've always said if it was 5 minutes longer, we could have jagged it maybe at the end there.
Totally, definitely. Completely agree with you.
I went to the O1 Grand Final and people were fearing for my safety. They thought I might have jumped off the back of the grandstand at half-time or something because it was 24-0. So,
And it's funny, Andrew Johns tells that story where in the lead up to the grand final, they had a lunch. They always had the big grand final lunch. And he reckons that as soon as he saw the Eels players come into the room, he knew they'd won the grand final. He knew Newcastle was going to win it because they looked so stressed, they looked so frazzled, and all the pressure was on them.
Yeah.
He thought, nah, we're going to beat them. And that's when he knew, and that's what they did.
We mentioned Mike Acevo just before. What about, is there any other favourite try scorers from over the years that you've seen, or any tries that stand out in the memory bank?
Yeah, well, Eric Groth Senior, obviously. What a try machine he was.
Yeah, definitely.
Jeepers creepers. Just an amazing... look, Jared Hayne, of course. the pick one of those tries. I mean, there were so many. The disallowed tries. Brett Kenny's disallowed tries. I mean, they were tries. I think, what was the 86 grand final,
86 grand final, yeah, he was going for two in a row as well.
80, I mean,
or two,
three,
that one.
And they were incredible tries. So to pick one, oh geez, yeah, I'd have to think about it. I really would. There's too many. But big Rad Radra scored some wonderful tries out wide. So yeah, he was a wonderful player too.
I was actually talking to someone the other day about Semi, and the game against the Broncos in 2017 was on Fox the other day, and where he scored 4 tries, and his last try was just a length of field job. He was unbelievable player.
He was so good, doing well overseas. So yeah, all the best to him.
Yeah, that's it. Do you have a favourite piece of Eels memorabilia that you love, or is maybe unique that you treasure?
Yeah, I do. Well, I've got it's funny. It's at home where I grew up. Actually, it's a bit of paper, and it's up. It says, it's on an old notepad, and it says "Up the Eels!" ! Ray Price, and it was a signature I got from him when I was about 12 or 13 somewhere. Yeah. That's a big one, and that's back when you used to get signatures. Now it's all selfies and stuff, but that's still up in my room at home. So there's that. Also, I've got an old ASICS sponsored jersey, the old Parramatta, the 3/4 length.
Late 90s.
Jersey. The late 90s one. So I get that out every now and again. But I've got this fantastic old beanie, and it's still got the pom-pom on the top, Eels. And I've had that since I was probably 5 or 6. And it's funny, I put it on my son the other day, little Max, and I thought, it was just one of those beautiful moments. I thought, gee, here we go. He's my boy with his little Parramatta beanie on. Yeah. So, and they built it. They made them to last back in those days. It's still going strong. There's a little hole just in a bit of the beanie, but I've still got it. So I reckon that's my most treasured.
Ah, nice. Has your son followed in your footsteps as a Eels fan?
Well, we'll see. He turned 1. He only turned 1
well,
recently.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
But the girls, I've got twin girls, Audrey and Evie. They're 3.5, nearly 4, and they unfortunately told me that they want to be Tigers fans. So,
well, you and I have got something in common, because my daughter Ella, she's 8, and basically it's Tigers first, then Panthers. She likes Sea Eagles, and then it's basically anyone playing Parramatta. So, but the original,
that's cruel.
Yeah, I know. The original one was that she liked big cats. So, obviously,
it's funny you say that.
Tigers, Panthers, and
there you go. Because we live in the inner west in Sydney, and which is Tigers territory really. And so when we used to go along Parramatta Road, you'd see a big mural of Benji Marshall and the Tiger. So when they were crying or upset, we'd say, look out the window, there's the big tiger, and they'd stop and they loved it. I'm like, the tiger. So maybe that's part of it, I don't know, but Yeah,
Oh,
I'll try and change their minds, Troy. I'll try my very best.
Easter Monday must be fun in the household then.
Oh, yeah, it is, especially after the last Easter Monday. My God.
Yeah, no, we'll just park that one. We'll just forget that
Yeah,
one.
won't talk about that one.
Nah, that's it. Now, you mentioned the Asics jersey there. Is that your
Yeah.
favourite Parramatta Eels jersey that we've had over the years, or is there others that...
Oh,
you love?
I can't go past the 86 one. Like, I just can't. Like, that for me is just classic. Like, yeah. And I remember when they changed the logo. Oh, it made me so angry, Troy. I was livid. And I just thought, how dare they do this? Like, and I know their marketing teams have their reasons and blah blah. And I actually even wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to the Parramatta board or the president or something, just pleading to change it back. And there were sort of different iterations of it, and they had the eel. Oh, it's hard to describe it, but
Yeah.
And then they finally went back to it, and they've gone back to it, and I'm just so thankful that they have.
Yeah.
It's just that magic. It's such a symbol. Here it is on my mug.
I think...
Had me coffee.
Yeah,
You know?
I think once you get once you get the right thing, the right logo, you just have to stick with it, I think.
Stick with it. Yeah, and I just love the Eels. Even the away jersey, the old yellow jersey as well, the James Hardy away one as well, the all yellow, and but just as long as we keep the stripes, you got to have the stripes.
Definitely.
So yeah, but mine is still that's my favourite one, the 86 one. I can't get past that one.
Yeah.
And the 87, 88, and they changed, and they must have changed it sort of late 90s, I think.
Yeah, nah, definitely got to keep the stripes, that's for sure. Parramatta are known for
Always.
stripes. Now, we know there's a massive Parramatta following everywhere you go, and you've been around the country a bit for work and stuff like that.
Yep.
Can you think of a place where you've been in Australia or indeed the world where you've caught up with a Parra fan at all?
Yeah, I was in Folkestone, which is on the coast of England.
Okay.
And Folkestone is where they used to send all our boys off to the Western Front. So the Aussies would go there and billet, and then they would jump on the ship and head to France and fight on the Western Front. And I'm there. That day I was wearing a Newtown Jets t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big fan of the Jets too, and I follow them in the New South Wales Rugby League, and as in the Rezzies,
Yep.
reserve grade. And I'm walking along, and this bloke comes on and he goes, "Oh, it's a Newtown Jets." I said, "Yeah, mate. What? He said, "Man, I'm a massive Eels fan." Oh, there you go. So we got chatting about Parramatta. He lives over there, and so that he ended up being. This is a whole other story. He ended up being one of my second cousins, which is really weird.
Okay.
But that's by the by. But over there, I found a lot of Parramatta fans, and also when I was over in Spain, I went to Pamplona. You know, the running of the bulls.
Yeah.
And I wore my Parramatta jumper, the old Asics one. And that was I was there in 1999. And I wore it the whole time. I was there for 3 days. And I wore it every day because we were backpackers and we had one change of clothes. We slept slept in a park during the day and went out all night, basically. You were 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was my Parramatta jumper. And mate, the comments, the people singing out, "Go Parra!"
Oh,
as
really?
I'm running with the Bulls in Pamplona in Spain. "Go on, Parra! Get into it, mate!" Yeah, and I'm trying to dodge these Bulls, and it was like people coming up to me and "Oh, there's the bloke in the Parra jersey," because you'd get photos at the end, and you'd go to this Kodak store in Pamplona, and you'd be able to look for a photo of yourself, and you'd be able to buy it.
Okay, yeah.
And again, like people will be there going, "Oh, is that a Parramatta jersey? Oh, how good's that? Oh, that you, mate? Oh, yeah." So it strikes up a conversation wherever you go.
Oh, definitely.
And they're all over the world, and especially and a lot in my hometown in Canamble. A lot actually, and a lot in regional areas, because a lot of those like. Mick Cronin was from Gerringong. You had sort of a few players that were from regional. Peter Sterling from Wagga Wagga.
Yeah.
So when I was in Wagga, a lot of fans down there. So they're everywhere, mate.
Yeah,
From here to Spain and everywhere in between.
Yeah, amazing. That must have been amazing running with the Bulls, but brave
Incredible.
to do that.
It was nuts, and wearing that jersey, it was kind of I don't know, some weird security for me or something. I don't know. It was good flying the para flag.
Yeah, nah, definitely. Well, let's just park the Eels for now and just chat about what you're doing now.
Yep.
You're in the media and on Channel 9, but also during your media career, you've interviewed a lot of famous people, and one of those people that you interviewed was Olivia Newton-John, who sadly we lost the other week. She passed away. What was Olivia like to interview?
Oh, where do I start? An amazing woman, an amazing light, a truly beautiful human being inside and out. And look, it all started. I'm sitting outside a restaurant in Melbourne with a producer. We're working on another story, and this woman and her husband comes up to me and says, "How's the food here?" And I look up and I say, "It's really good, Olivia," because it was Olivia Newton-John.
Okay, wow. Quick off the mark too.
Mate, I was like, what? And so she walks inside, and me and the producer look at each other and go, "Oh my God," because we knew that another producer at work, this is a Sunday night, back in the Channel 7 days, was chasing a story and trying to get Olivia to sit down for a story. So anyway, we put together a letter. We walk in to see her, and we paid for a meal, hers and John Easterling, her husband. And we got chatting, and her sister died of brain cancer, and my father had just passed away from brain cancer. So we had that wonderful bond.
Okay.
And we just chatted for ages, which it was just like we kind of knew each other. And so from then on, the wheels were in motion. And I said, "Look, Olivia, we'd love to sit down with you and have a chat and see where you're at and talk about your wonderful cancer hospital there in Melbourne and what all the wonderful work you're doing." And so off it went. And then we got in contact with her wonderful manager, who was just great, and he sort of made it all happen. And then all of a sudden we're on a plane to the US, California, driving up to her house near Santa Barbara there, and just sat down with her, just hung out with her for the whole day, and just, it's hard to describe how wonderful she was, but so normal, so beautifully, wonderfully normal. And I think she loved having us there. She loved hearing the Aussie accents and the banter and the humour but I loved spending time with her, and we just had a wonderful day. And she was so open, and we had a really good chat. I wanted to make sure it was a conversation, and I try and do that with all my interviews. It's got to be a conversation, and we just talked for ages. And she opened up like no one's ever seen, really. And that was because I think we had that bond. I honestly mean that. I think we had this connection, and we had that bond over our brain cancer experiences with dear loved ones. And we just chatted, and we went for a walk around her property, and she's told me that the place reminds her of the Dandenongs, which is just outside Melbourne, and yeah, she was just lovely. And I'm so blessed, so lucky to have spent that time with her, This little old parafan me from Canamble.
Well, talk about being in the right place at the right time. And
well, that's it. That's it. You make your luck, Troy.
Yeah.
And I still remember it. She just leaning down to say, "Alex," she said, "Yeah, excuse me, is the food all right?" I said, "Yeah, it is, Olivia." And there it went. So
pretty good that she was
really
pretty good that she was going off your opinion.
I know. Imagine if the food was bad.
Yeah. What would happen then?
I know. So anyway, I was so sad to hear of her passing. I really was. Because she just she fought so hard, and she never wanted to call it a fight. She said, I don't want to call it a fight. I want to call it a journey. I don't want to fight this thing because that's just negative. I want to be positive. It's my journey. And even when we were there with her, she sort of, you thought she's living with cancer. And so, your worst thoughts kick in. You think, how long she got? So I was so pleased and to see that she lasted as long as she did, But what a legend.
Oh, definitely. Australian legend, world legend, to be sadly missed by everyone.
For sure.
Rest in peace, Olivia. Now, on the flip side, you worked with Karl Stefanovic on the Today Show. Now,
big Karl.
Yeah, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but it must be fun.
I know, he's a unique human.
Yes.
He's a unique man. There's only one Karl Stefanovic, my man.
What's it like to work with Karl?
Oh, look, it's great. It's good. You never know what you're going to get. It keeps you on your toes, that's for sure. He's a wonderful bloke. He's been very good to me. Coming across from Channel 7 was quite daunting, of course. 14 years at Channel 7, and going across to 9 was a big change, But as soon as I walked in, I knew I'd come to the right place because it's the camaraderie. It's a very family-oriented, very just a lovely, friendly place. And I thought, and Karl and Ali were just so lovely to me as well. They were so welcoming and just welcomed me with open arms, And I'd met them over the years at various stages. I'd seen Karl a couple of times on stories, and we both covered the tsunami in Japan back in 2011, which was pretty full on, and a couple of other yarns. But I'd never really talked to him. I'd sort of met him a few times. But mate, he's good. He's one of the best broadcasters I've worked with, and I just watch him in awe sometimes. Just the way he can pivot from emotional story to funny to heartfelt to it's an amazing skill that broadcasting on that level, and every morning, like you got to play a blinder every morning on that show, Troy. It's you can't sort of just blood you out in the wing. You've got to be up the middle, giving it a red hot go every day. So and how he's done that for 15 years or 16 years or whatever it is, it's pretty impressive. So it's funny, he's often the butt of jokes sometimes. At the Logies, they really gave it to him, and and he takes it and he thinks it's funny, but sometimes I think, hang on, no, there's got to be a level of respect here for this bloke. I mean, he's to have been doing what he's been doing for that long. It's pretty impressive. So, is there a
funny Karl story that you go to Karl story?
Funny Karl. Well, my first day on the job, I was reading sport, and I was so nervous. I was absolutely nervous as all get out. And my first sports break, my first sports read, I did it, and I completely stuffed it. And I couldn't get it, and I stumbled and I stuttered and I blah blah blah. Anyway, and over to you, Karl. Anyway, Karl starts doing what he's doing, and we cross now to Curry and Greenbank in London, and then he stops and he says, "Can we just give you another go at that, Alex? Can we just revisit that? Do you want to have another go at that, mate?" and immediately made me at ease. It immediately made it funny. It immediately relaxed me, and I knew then I'm in good hands here, if you know what I mean. Like, it was the funniest moment. Like, I thought, he's just going to keep going here, and I'm just going to I just want to crawl into a hole somewhere. But by sort of bringing people's attention to it, he kind of rescued me in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's that. He's a very generous broadcaster, and he sort of picks things up when things are getting a bit low, or he's a wonderful sort of conductor of the band, I suppose you could say.
Well, no doubt there'll be a bit of banter this week with Parramatta taking on the Broncos on Thursday night. I think Karl's a Broncos man.
Massive Broncos man, massive Maroons fan too, which is just insufferable.
Especially this year anyway.
Yeah, and like, we've had the better of the Broncos the last few years, which has been wonderful. So that's been nice to kind of boast about. But we'll see. We'll see against. They're playing pretty well, the Bronx.
That's it. Well, we'll get back to the Eels now. And the first time I met you was actually at Combank Stadium in 2020, I think it was, for
That's
the
right.
season opening game there for the Today Show. What are your thoughts on Combank Stadium? Because no doubt you've been to a few stadiums around Australia and the world.
Yeah, I have. Amazing. It's an amazing stadium. I went there, just recently to watch the shellacking of the Bulldogs, which was fantastic to watch. I went out there last year as well when they played Manly, which was a loss. And that was my first experience, and I just thought, wow, how good's this? How good's this? You're sort of right on top,
Yep.
Of the game. And I even took a mate of mine yesterday. He's a huge Geelong Cats fan. He's from Melbourne.
Okay.
And he was really impressed. He's like, oh, how good's this? Like, you're right on top of it. You're right in the game. Whereas, those AFL grounds, you can't really see what's going on the other side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
They're such massive grounds, No, very, very impressed. I think it's probably the best league ground. Having said that, I've never watched a game at Suncorp, and they tell me Suncorp's a very impressive place to watch rugby league. But that for mine, and I've been to a lot of grounds. I've been to Lansdowne Road and Dublin. That's a really impressive place.
Yeah.
Really to watch football. I've been to a couple of others there in the UK, and. Yeah, Accor Stadium, I'm not a fan of at all. I'll just put that out there right now. At Homebush, it's too big. It's too cavernous. But I'm looking forward to seeing Allianz. I'm looking forward to getting there. I'm actually going to be going to the Springboks v Wallabies game.
Okay. Yeah.
Coming up soon. So that would be good. But Combank, God, how good.
Yeah,
great spot.
I'd say it's the best rectangular stadium in Australia.
I
do sort of compare it as a mini Suncorp sort of thing. I think they
that's
52
probably
and
best comparison, isn't it?
Yeah,
that square, that rectangular on top of the game sort of setup, which is really good.
Yeah, but Combank's better.
Yeah,
hands down. Now we're heading into the finals.
Yes.
What do you think Parramatta's chances are in 2022? Can we win the premiership this year? And if we are in the grand final, who's your tip that we're going to play?
Oh, geez, I think about this often, Troy, I think we can win the premiership, and I think we can win it because we have to. If that makes sense. The window is closing. Papali'i, where's he going? I think he's going to the Tigers, isn't he? Is that confirmed?
So far he is, but
so far he is.
Could be changed.
We're losing Reid Marnie. We're losing a few other players, and I just think this is like the time is now. Like we've got to do it. And when they're good, they're great, Parramatta. But when they're not, they're absolutely rubbish. As we've seen, against the Dogs back in round 14, against the Tigers, once they get that consistency, we'll win the premiership. I have no doubt. Can they win it this year? Oh, God. I look at teams like South Sydney. They're on the up. They're looking amazing. I just go Latrell Mitchell. Like he can carry that team on his back to the premiership. They're hungry after last year's loss. You got Nathan Cleary coming back in the finals for Penrith. They're humming. They're going so well again. I was going to say the Broncos, but they got smashed by the Storm, didn't they? Even the Storm are coming back. They're looking good again. Yeah. The Sharks, they're going well, really well. I don't think they'll win it, but they'll go close. I think it really is tough. And I was talking to the cabbie yesterday who took us to the game. He said, look, it's whoever has the least injuries is going to win the it's a tough old game, rugby league, and to pull yourself through a season plus finals is hard work. So, yes, I think we can win it. if we play like we did on Saturday against the Dogs with that 42-6 win, I'm looking forward to seeing Nathan Brown back. I think I'd love to see Parramatta. I'm going to say Parramatta South Sydney
Okay.
in the grand final.
Okay, that'd probably make a lot of Eels fans nervous because South's
Yeah.
got the winning edge on us at the moment.
They do. They absolutely do. I don't know about Penrith. I don't know. I think losing Luai and Cleary at this stage of the season is really going to hurt them. Having said that, they might enjoy that time off and be fresh, but and winning back to back, it's so hard. It's so very hard. I'd like to see Penrith win it. I like Penrith. I like what they're about, but South Sydney as well. Yeah, I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to say Parramatta South Sydney in the grand final, and Parramatta to win by 8.
Nice. Well, if
There you go.
it's a Parramatta Penrith grand final, it's going to be pretty hectic for me because I'm a Para fan living in Penrith. So
Oh, there you go.
it'd be a pretty
and
hectic.
I do that. Me too, because I do a bit of work with Penrith. They're a great club, and they're run by great people, and they're great great fans and supporters. But yeah,
You'd be a
God,
bit
imagine
tired then too.
I would too. Imagine Parramatta and Penrith in the grand final. Wow. Great win for Western Sydney though.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
There's been a little bit of conjecture lately about Coach Brad Arthur. What's your thoughts on Brad as a coach?
I think he's a good coach. I'm a big fan of what he does. Why he can't get that consistency concerns me with his team. Why he can't inspire the team to turn up week in, week out like the Storms, like the Roosters of the competition. That's what was my biggest concern, I suppose. I was like, hang on, what's going on here? But maybe that's just down to the players. I guess it is. They're the ones on the field. But I mean, you'd hope deep down that a coach can inspire that consistency. That's my only issue with him. And that's it, really. But now they are getting consistent. Now they are sort of pulling some wins together. Mitch Moses is back, which is a huge in. Wow, we missed him last weekend, and I think he's not like other coaches, Brad Arthur, if that makes sense. Like he sort of doesn't say too much, doesn't have that playing pedigree like your Ricky Stewarts of the league, but he's a hard worker. I know how much he puts in. He's had to put in that hard work over the years, and he's done well in those systems. He was an assistant coach at Melbourne, wasn't he? Under
Melbourne, Manly
Belly
as well. Yeah.
And Manly as well. And Manly as well, of course. So he's done his homework, and he's done the work. And I think he's a good coach, and I want to see him there at least until the end of his contract, for sure.
Your thoughts on the acquisition of Trent Barrett as an assistant for 2023? What's your thoughts on that one?
Great, so good. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Trent Barrett's. I know it didn't go well at Canterbury, but I don't know enough about that situation. But he was very good at Penrith. I know that much.
Yep.
He got those players absolutely humming, and he worked with those players for a lot of years too out at Penrith. And look at the success of that club. So he left a wonderful mark there at Penrith. I think he'll be fantastic. He'll take those young blokes under his wing. He was a wonderful player back in the day. Comes from country New South Wales. He's a Temora boy.
Yep.
So yeah, and which I'm a big fan of. And I remember I worked down at Prime News in Wagga Wagga back in early 2000s. And he was down there doing a clinic, and I interviewed him, and he was just so giving and generous, and I just think he's a good bloke, and I'm very happy Paris got him.
Yeah, as you said, he had success at Penrith as an assistant coach and turned those players around, and
big time.
Yeah.
And in those halves, he knows those halves positions so well.
Yep.
I think it's a really big advantage, and if he can impart his knowledge to the young Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses and even Jake Arthur, he's a good young player. I don't care what people say. you know, he's a kid. He's 19.
Yeah.
And to do what he did after copping so much crap and absolute, it made me so angry what he copped on social media, young Jake Arthur. But he came out and he played well. You know, he somehow shut it all out, and that takes enormous strength. So he's got that inner strength, which is a big tick for me.
Yeah, definitely. Second best halfback in the club. So should be given a shot. It's not his fault that his dad is the coach.
Exactly. You know,
he's done a lot better than you or I. He's played played first grade. So,
and what's Wayne Bennett say? He said, "Yeah, the minute you start listening to the fans, the minute you'll be sitting up there with them." So he's taken that on board, and it's great advice, and you know, all the very best to him.
Definitely. Well, we'll wrap things up with the set of 6 segment that I've got. That's basically sort of like the personality sort of side of things. What's your favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Oh, favourite sport outside of rugby league.
Or is there too many?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Being the sports guy.
Yeah. Oh, you know, I'm a huge NFL fan.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, massive. I'm right into it. So I love Monday mornings, early Monday mornings, because that's when I can watch the games. I listen to a lot of podcasts with the NFL. And I like the Cleveland Browns. Okay. They're my team. Yeah. I'm not a fan of their new quarterback. Oh my God, that's a mess. That's a whole other conversation. But I love NFL. And then I rugby union. I went off rugby union for a long time, but I'm starting to enjoy it again.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're probably the league, union, and NFL are probably my top 3. Cricket's up there too, but that's only for part of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Specialty dish?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
What's your go-to? What can you whip up that's a winner?
Oh, mate. I do a pretty good slow-cooked beef brisket.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I do a pretty good one of those. And I do a pretty good meatballs as well. Yeah, did one of those the other night and it came up a treat. So
nice.
nothing too flashy, Troy, but you know, I try.
No, don't worry, mate. I'm only a bacon and eggs and sausages and steak guy, so
there you go.
That's it. Now, you've interviewed a lot of famous people over your time as a journalist, but is there one famous person that you'd love to meet and interview at all?
Good question.
That you haven't met?
There's been a few. Is there one that I'd like to interview?
Yeah, that you haven't interviewed yet. Is there a famous person?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I would love to sit down. Oh man, Elton John's up there. I'd love to get inside his brain and see, you know, what he's all about.
You might get the opportunity if Richard Wilkins lets you interview him.
That's true. That's true. He is coming out soon. Yeah. Oh, look, I'd love to sit down with Donald Trump. Hang on, I've got someone calling me here. 2 seconds there, Troy. Let me just let that go through. Are you still there?
Yep.
My apologies. Look, yeah. Oh, God, you got me there. Probably, Donald Trump. I'd love to sit down and talk to him and just work out how that brain works, if there is a brain in there. Sporting people. Look, if Jack Gibson was still alive, I would have loved to have interviewed him.
Yeah.
You know, what a brain, what a story, what a life. That's probably most of them. Trying to think. Paul McCartney. Yeah, I'd love to sit down with Paul McCartney. Yeah. He's. I love the Beatles. Always loved the Beatles. Grew up with them. Dad loved them, and I'd love to sit down and chat with him. Definitely.
Yeah. No. Well, again, you'll probably have to brush Richard Wilkins aside and say, I'm doing
this one.
That's right. I'm doing this one.
Yeah. But of the ones I have done, I think Ricky Gervais was probably my favourite. Ricky Gervais, you know, from The Office fame. So that he was just brilliant. And then Julie Andrews and Stevie Nicks, he was great. Lionel Richie, he was fun. He was great. I really enjoyed chatting to him. So yeah.
And now, time for you to you can give up some of your Today Show team members here, but if you were stuck on a deserted island, which 3 Today Show team members wouldn't you want to be stuck on the island with, and why?
Who I wouldn't want to be?
Yeah, who wouldn't you want to be there with, and why?
Jeez, that's a good question. I wouldn't want to be on the island with Karl because he just talk about the Maroons the whole time.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
And the Broncos the whole time.
Yeah,
and just give me grief about being a Parramatta fan the whole time. So yeah, probably not him. Tim, probably not. He's just too good looking. He's too pretty. He's blue eyes. And Ali, yeah, I don't know. She's a Manly fan, see. So she just
okay.
So not her either. So there you go. Mate, Brookie, yeah. Get Brooke on the island.
Okay.
We can talk about music and Richard Wilkins too. We can sit there and we can talk about the Beatles and all the great interviews we've all done over the years. So there you go.
Oh, there you go, yeah. Just bring them along as well. Now, if you weren't in the media as a journalist, is there any other profession that you maybe wanted to do growing up?
Oh, good one. I was going to join the army.
Okay.
But, yeah, my great uncle was Sir Lieutenant General Leslie Morshead. He commanded Tobruk, and he held the garrison there for 9 months, and he was basically led the 9th Division. And so he's sort of a big name in our family, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do that, get into the armed forces and do something like that. So that crossed my mind. Yeah, I went down to ADFA in Canberra, I think it was, and had a bit of a day down there. And then I went, no, I'm not cut out for that. So probably either that or, mate, yeah, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I've always wanted to do. Yeah, since I was 12, really, be a journo. Interview people and just be in the media. So I was lucky in that I knew from an early age what I wanted to do. So
speaking of early age, is it true that you were calling an imaginary rugby league game and your classmates really loved it? And
they did.
Yeah,
absolutely, bang on. You've done your homework. Yeah. So I had a little tape recorder, the one where you press play and record at the same time.
Yeah.
And I would literally go around interviewing people, and this is when I'm like 11 or 12, and yeah, I commentated a rugby league game. I commentated I think it was a netball game and a tennis match between John McEnroe and it might have been, I can't remember now, Pat Cash perhaps. And I thought I'll take it into the class and play to them, and I did, and they absolutely loved it. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Was it a Parramatta game that you were calling by any chance?
It probably was. I think it must have been a Parramatta game. Yeah, definitely a Parramatta game, because I obviously would have known all the names of the team, and I've got the tape around here somewhere, and I've got to replay it one of these days. But yeah, so I played it to the kids and they loved it. So I thought, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do.
You'll have to take it into the bosses, and you might get a start on the rugby league calling.
You never know. Hey, why not?
Why
not? It's a fine art, that, it's a fine art. It's a tough gig, that commentating. But they do a good job.
Definitely.
A great job.
Well, the last question is going to be really easy for you because you pretty much answered it. But your favourite band is the Beatles. Is that correct?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just consistency. Hundreds of hits. You just can't. I can't go past them. I just love them.
Is there a favourite solo artist at all? that you
Favourite
like?
solo artist? Oh, that's a good question.
Paul McCartney by himself, maybe, or
Oh yeah, not really. Bob Seger. I was a
okay.
big fan of Bob Seger. Night Moves. What a song. Oh. Bob Seger. Let me think. I do. Lionel Richie was always. No, not Lionel Richie. Who else? Yeah, I reckon Elton John. I've always liked Elton John. He's a great solo artist, amazing solo artist. And again, that consistency of songs, great hit songs. And that's about it, mate. I think, yeah. I'm trying to get into these new songs of today, but I just can't. I haven't got time for a start. I just like listening to the old hits. John Fogerty and Creedence.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, mate. I'm a '80s man, so
Yeah.
can't get into these new songs by these new
No,
kids.
you stick to what you know.
That's
and,
it. That's it.
Just
What's your
keep on
favorite?
loving it.
What's your favorite Beatles song? That's a hard one.
Oh,
It's probably
that's a good question.
probably the hardest question all day, probably.
That is the toughest. You've left the toughest till last, Troy. Oh Jesus! There's a song called Two of Us on the Let It Be album, which I'm a huge fan of. I just love it, and because I've got twin daughters, and they love that song
nice.
too.
Yeah.
Two of Us, Sunday Driving. It's just one of the great, happy, wonderful songs. Let It Be is up there. I love Helter Skelter. That's a great song.
Yeah.
Helter Skelter's a ripper. Just a really good, booming, great song. I don't think I can go past Here Comes the Sun, just in terms of, I just hear that song and go, I'm immediately happy. So, yeah, Here Comes the Sun for mine.
Yeah, it's a hard question. I love the Beatles as well, but I couldn't.
There you go.
Really,
We've got great taste. Great
Well,
taste in
we've
music,
got a
great
lot of-
taste in league teams.
Well, that's right. We've got a lot of things in common. My daughter goes for the Tigers. Your daughter goes for the Tigers.
I know.
We both go for
We must
Para.
change that.
I don't know.
Oh, mate.
But my daughter is a member of the Eels as well, so
that's good.
I've signed her up for that. So
You've got her in there. That's good.
well,
I'm glad
yeah,
to hear that
I
at
get a
least.
little bit more merchandise. So
Of
when it
course.
comes to me. So
Yeah, the old key rings.
yeah, that's it. Well, Alex Cullen, thank you very much for your time and your chat today here on the Parramatta podcast. I really enjoyed it, and it's great to chat to another Eels tragic like myself and hear their story about supporting the Eels. And listeners, you can see Alex on the Today Show as well in the mornings, Monday to Friday. So, Alex Cullen, thank you very much for coming on the Parramatta podcast today.
Troy, my absolute pleasure, mate. You've done a wonderful job, and keep up your great work. The Parrot Cave podcast, how good is it? It's fantastic, and I love your passion for the game and the mighty Eels. So, mate, absolute pleasure talking to you today, and all I'll say is go Para.
Go Para.
Thanks, Troy.
Welcome back, and thanks for listening to Alex Cullen and his rugby league fan story and life story. And what an interesting story it was. It's really good to chat to someone who supports the club that I love in the Parramatta Eels, and I love hearing other Eels fans supporting stories. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I appreciate Alex for his chat and his time, as I know he's a busy man, both with family life and his TV life, which, listeners, you can catch him, as I said before, on the Today Show on Channel 9, Monday to Friday mornings. Also, there will be a video release of this episode as well on YouTube. We recorded this via Zoom, so there will be a video link of this podcast up on YouTube, so check that one as well. Thanks also to Premiership winning coach Shane Flanagan for his Week 1 finals preview last week. Really appreciate that. During the week on the Paracave Podcast Facebook page, we will have his Week 2 finals predictions ahead of the clash between the Eels and the Raiders at CommBank Stadium on Friday. So stay tuned for that one. Once again, a quick shout out and thanks to Jack's Pale Ale, a fantastic major sponsor of the podcast, for your support. Don't forget, Jack's Pale Ale is back in stock and available to purchase in the club shop. Perfect for those footy finals, so drop into the club shop if you're in the area and get some today. Thanks also to co-sponsor Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, who you hear at the top of this podcast and every podcast. Contact Shannon for all your Penrith and Lower Blue Mountains real estate needs, either buying or selling. And also to the Stubby Club, thank you very much for the support of the podcast. Don't forget, head to www.thestubbyclub.com.au and order your not only NRL merchandise but also AFL, EPL, much more. To check that one out at the website. And don't forget to use your 10% discount code PARACAVE as well. So check out that website for all that range of sports merchandise. I will post up a picture that I was lucky enough to get a Eels backpack from the Stubby Club using that discount code. So I'll post a picture of that up on Facebook. So check that one out. And also a big thank you to Bo Cook from Lone Market once again. His contact number is 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal. Thank you for your support, and if you would like to become a sponsor of the podcast, get in contact with the podcast by sending an email to theparacave, all one word, at yahoo.com, and we'll see what we can do for each other. Thank you once again to you, the listener, for listening to Isaac de Gois and his rugby league and life story. Thank you, Isaac, for your time, and be for sure next time at CommBank Stadium, let's catch up and have that beer. I hope you enjoyed listening to Isaac's story as much as I did. And if you missed it last Monday, just simply head back to the episode list and check it out. Thank you to you, the listeners, for listening to it and sharing it with your family and friends. I really appreciate the support. And please, if you liked it, please give it a 5-star rating and review on the podcast platform that you listen to. Also, don't forget to tune into the Talking Para podcast as well. Another little side venture I'm involved in. It's 4 para lads chewing the fat about the Eels each week. We're getting down to the business end of the season now with finals. Each week we review and preview the Eels games. We also make a few predictions as well, like the score, first try scorer, and a bold prediction each week. It's a bit of fun. We're not experts, we're just supporters, so tune in to that one. This week's episode, we will review the qualifying final loss to the Panthers and preview the semi-final do-or-die game versus the Raiders at CommBank Stadium, so tune in for that one. And finally, you'll be able to catch myself on Pulse FM each week on a Friday and a Sunday talking NRL with the Duckman himself on Duckman's Weekend Sports Wrap Show about 6:20 p.m. each week. It's on 89.9 FM radio, Pulse FM, so check that one and have a listen. And thank you once again to the official media partner of the podcast, the Parramatta Times. For all your local Parramatta news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au. Keep an eye out over the social media channels as well as the September issue of the digital edition will be posted up as well, so with the link there, so you can check that one out. Stay safe wherever you are listening from in this world of ours. Have a great week as best you can, and I'll catch you next week for episode 112. But stay tuned to those social media channels to see who is coming up next. And once again, if you'd like to send a DM on socials, by all means, go ahead. I'm always up for a chat about the greatest game of all and the Parramatta Eels, or simply who you would like to hear come on the show for a chat. Enjoy your NRL finals footy if your team is still in contention. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!